Welcome in. It's another Soccer Down Here 1v1 on the SDH network. I'm Jason Longshore. We're covering the UPSL Georgia Premier Division playoffs pretty intensely this week as we're down to the semifinals. And no one better to talk to than the master of the upset from the quarterfinal, FC Birmingham, and player coach Josh Martinez. Josh, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
That was a thrilling one up in Dalton. I talked about it on the call. I know what it's like to travel in a league like this and how challenging those early phases of the game can be. I felt like after about 20, 25 minutes, you guys found your legs and were in pretty good control of the game. Is that how it felt to you being on the field?
Definitely. Yeah. So obviously we knew Dalton's caliber. We faced them year after year, and they have been the top team most of those years that we faced them. So we had a game plan. Obviously, away game on their home, playoff, them being the number two seed. All those factors we knew were going to come into play. And yeah, it took us about 20, 25 minutes to kind of settle. Obviously, they're a great attacking team. They crowd up that midfield. They use their wide players very well. And those ball switches that they do are incredible. But yeah, after a couple minutes and we were able to settle and control our emotions a bit, I would say that we started to feel a little more comfortable in the game.
Yeah, one big part of it, I felt like you mentioned their wingers, Damian Rodriguez, such a talented player for them. And once Gerson Rodriguez on your side started to get control of that matchup, it felt like the game started to turn. Talk about him a little bit as a player and how important he is to your group.
Gerson's a player that we basically came into FC Birmingham almost at the same time. Maybe I did one season before him, so we know each other very well. Personally, we're very good friends. It goes beyond the field. He's a player that normally had been used as a six or holding midfielder. I tried to start doing a couple of different things when I took over, and I really like how he plays on the sideline. He's very aggressive, very intense, and it's worked out. He's settled great into that right back position. Like normally, I play center back next to him, and we have great chemistry and communication, so that also helps. And I can't sing praises to him enough. He had a great game. To me, he could have been one of the men of the matches. We had a couple, but yeah, he could have taken it. Yeah, he did his job. Very happy with him.
Yeah, it was a team performance for sure. There were a lot of players who would factor into that man of the match, and you're one of them. You took over
Thank you.
midseason as a player coach. What was your coaching experience coming into that role, and just how challenging is it juggling playing on the field
Zero.
and all zero? Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah.
No
I
coaching
mean,
experience.
no, I had coached. You can't call it coaching. Maybe clinics. It would
Okay.
kind of align with that. Summer camp clinics and stuff like that, and just a little bit of charity work here and there, um, with young kids. U10s, U13s. Very little experience with that at all. So basically, I'd say zero coaching experience. Yep.
Wow. Okay. One, I would have never guessed that, and two, how long did it take you to feel comfortable?
Well, lucky for me, I've known most of these guys for so long that they've been following me as their team captain for about 3 seasons now, or 3 years, 6 seasons, give or take. So they respect me. They see the work ethic I put in. They know my style and they know what I expect from them. And it was a pretty easy transition when it came to having the guys just believe in what I wanted to do with us and with the team. On a personal note, yeah, it was challenging. There's a lot more involved than just being a player and showing up 20 minutes before practice. Now I have to show up a little earlier, prepare trainings. I have to do some homework at home that I normally wouldn't have to do as much as a player. So yeah, it's more time consuming. It's never going to be a pain point on me because I love the sport so much. And I obviously love the challenges. Yeah, definitely a little bit of adjustment on my personal part. With the guys, I think they helped me out to make it as seamless as possible.
Tell me a little bit about your career up to this point, because your different levels of experience and your different experiences have probably played a pretty big role in making you who you are, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 43 years old, so I've played a long time. Youth systems, I never played. I started playing soccer at like 12, and it was all elementary school, middle school. At 15, I joined my first club team, and I went straight to their first team. So I never played in youth systems in my native home of Puerto Rico. My first club was called Roosevelt Pumas, and with them, I debuted in the first team and just kept going from there. Um, in Puerto Rico, I played basically for the biggest clubs in our island. You know, our island is not known for soccer in a huge way, but soccer is very important. People are very passionate about it there. So I played for Don Bosco, I played for Quintana, I played for Bayamon, and my last club there was Metropolitan. Um, and then in between all that, I don't know if you remember the Puerto Rico Islanders.
I
They
do.
did play against. Okay, so I was the captain of the reserve team. I would train with them regularly, and that was a very good experience for me. That was high level experience at a youngish age, 22 maybe.
Mhm.
Um, so on the club end, I had a lot of experience. Also international club games, friendlies within other Caribbean clubs, um, CFU qualifiers, things like that. So yeah, I have a big resume that helps me to this day. It gives me the experience that I need right now.
How did you end up in Birmingham?
Long story short, good job offer that my wife got. It had to be remote, and my mother and sister already lived here in Alabama, so we decided to move close to family. Fell in love with it. We've been here for 4 years.
That's awesome.
Couldn't be happier. It's taken us in very well. Just I had experience living in mainland US because I went to college in North Carolina, and I did play PDL in a team that does not exist anymore, but called Palm Beach Pumas
Yeah.
over at West Palm Beach.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, definitely living here, moving a family over. We had good expectations, but it's been better than what we thought.
That's awesome. It's fascinating that with your experience with the Puerto Rico Islanders that you might be on the field with somebody who was in that first team at one point in Junior Sandoval for Kalanji on the weekend. Crazy how small of a world it is, huh?
It's wild. Yeah, I mean, I would have never expected to play soccer at this level in Alabama. Before joining FC Birmingham, I was driving about 2 hours to play the Sunday League in Atlanta, the ADASL.
Yeah.
So just how things came to be is amazing, and I've been able to meet a couple of people. Atlanta United academy team has a Puerto Rican that plays in the national team right now, so
Yeah.
that was fun to play against him. So yeah, now looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be very fun to me. It doesn't stop amazing me even at my age.
So at this point, you get to Birmingham. Tell me about your journey with FC Birmingham and how you've kind of seen the club grow and evolve.
So FC Birmingham, I go to the first ever tryout. Um, I was not in playing shape at all. COVID had hit.
Yeah.
Uh, a little older, so it takes me a little more time to get in playing shape. I was not selected in that team, so I kept just playing Sunday league here locally, and in one match I was playing against the FC Birmingham reserves, and after that match, Coach Gabriel approached me and he asked me if I wanted to be a part of the team, and I said yes, yes, and since then, I haven't looked back. I've grown within the organization. I've seen the club grow. I've seen kids grow. It's what really makes me feel good, just hoping that I can pass something to someone and have them become better than what they were before they met me. And that's been accomplished here.
So age is just a number, and the way you played in the quarterfinal, I'm not worried about you hanging them up anytime soon. But now that you've gotten a taste on the coaching side, is that something you feel like you want to do?
It definitely is, but I tell everybody, not yet, not yet.
Okay. I'd love to
Yeah.
pick your brain about. I mean, I'm sure you've had a ton of different coaches in your career, and you're a junkie like the rest of us. You're watching teams, you're watching games. Are there coaches, are there styles of play, are there things that have rubbed off on you and you kind of feel like right now you're transmitting to your players with FC Birmingham?
Well, I'm really big on adapting to your opponent. and not so much on trying to force this one particular style and sticking by it. But I'm a defender, so I basically live and die with the fundamentals. I like quick touches out of the back. I like my players to be creative on our last third and a little more conservative on our defensive third and that middle third. Um, I Sometimes you can do possession. I would love to do possession every game. That's not the reality of every game. So sometimes you maybe have to drag the line a little bit further back and try to play some sort of counterattack. Yeah, it's adapting. I pick up cues from a lot of, like you said, I'm a junkie. Even though I've been a Real Madrid fan all my life, I look at Pep Guardiola because I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Ancelotti, Mourinho, just everybody that's a god in this sport that we love so much. I try to pick something up from them humbly, just study them and see if I can implement it to our reality.
Yeah, it's cool. I feel like where we're at in the game worldwide, and watch this play out with Atlanta United this past season, especially in the postseason, that adaptability is really becoming more important maybe than a fixed philosophy. And it sounds like you've
Yeah.
got a pretty good level of experience in having to adapt to situations.
Definitely. So just to touch on how we did in this final half of the season, we basically ended up that since I took over playing a 4-4-2 and being a little bit more traditional with Dalton, I thought that wasn't going to be our best bet given the fact that they just crowd up that midfield so much. So we started just switching it up a bit and going to a 4-5-1 defensively, and then maybe a 4-4-2 if we were attacking. Obviously, people loading up. But yeah, I wanted to make that midfield a little bit more difficult to get through. It worked out. I can't claim to be a genius. The guys put in the work for me, but at least we had that plan and we were able to perform following that plan.
And your opponent this weekend, kind of similar in terms of firepower. This is a team in Kalonji Pro Profile that scored a lot of goals as of late, with Karim Tamimi coming back into the group from Atlanta United 2, Kofi Twumasi coming into the group from Rhode Island FC. Not to give anything away, but is it a situation where organization for your group is going to be the key?
Yeah, definitely. So you can't make half of a mistake against a team of the quality and caliber as Kalonji is. I can't stop. I wouldn't be able to stop singing them praises right now. Amazing. They have the league's leading goal scorer. Their midfield is not only experienced, but the quality is impressive. They're a unit. They're a well managed club. So everywhere you look, you can only say positive things about them. We have our plans. We've been working on strategies. Yes, some are similar to Dalton's. What I can tell you is that we're definitely not a team that's going to park the bus and see what happens. We're going to take it to them, and even though we respect our opponent incredibly, once that bell rings and you're in that boxing ring against your opponent 1v1, you have to throw punches. You're going to get punches, but it is part of it, right? So that's
Yeah.
our plan.
Something that stuck with me was it felt like you guys grew in confidence from minute 1 to minute 90 in Dalton. And I'd love to just get a snapshot from you of how this week has been and where the vibes are with your group.
The vibes are, I like to take things a little more relaxed in this part of the season. The pressure is always going to be there. If you've played this game long enough, you don't need to be doing extra in practices. You don't need to be running 100 miles an hour. You don't need to be practicing a half hour more. We already know where the pressure is going to be. So if I can kind of tailor practices to where we can relax a little more, take a breather and focus, that's a big plus. So we've been training intensely like we always do. The guys always put in a great effort, but I've been focusing on a lot on the mental game, on taking the right decisions, on what we do after a mistake, all that fast thinking that's going to come into play in a game like this one. That's what I've been focused on more so than just crunching fitness and 2.5 hour long training sessions, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was so impressed with you guys last weekend. Really looking forward to being on the call on Saturday. Josh, thank you for taking the time and chopping it up with me tonight.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Hey, by the way, the team that I've been following since I moved here is your team.
Ah, there we go.
So So,
There we
second
go.
you wanted to have this interview, I was happy to show you that.
That's awesome. It's really cool you
All
got
right,
to meet
sir.
Isaiah as well, Vicenetti.
Yeah,
I've really enjoyed his game with the U18s.
yeah, really good, quality player. I can't wait for to see him continue evolving in the Puerto Rico national team. They're doing some great stuff down there in my island.
Yeah, same. I'm really excited to see the growth of the game in your island. I'm really excited to see the growth of FC Birmingham, and Saturday is going to be
Yeah.
a fun one. Thank you again for the time.
Thank you so much. Have a great one.